Hello, and thanks for checking out my new program, Retail Store, Categories and ASINs. My name is Andy Lash, but you may know me from the Fresh Store Builder Forum as ARunner26. Now what I wanted to do in this program is give you the ability to easily acquire categories, subcategories, and product identification numbers, commonly known as ASINs, directly from Amazon, and get just those categories and subcategories and products that you're interested in. Now this program will do that, and that information can be used for any type of website. But in addition, the product allows you to take that information and populate a Fresh Store Builder database and web pages with those categories and products that you've selected from Amazon. In addition, once that's done, the program will give you the ability to acquire the actual product information and insert it into the Fresh Store Builder database and web pages and be able to monitor the process as that occurs. Now what I'd like to do, go through and give you an idea how the program works, but the first thing I'd like to do is show you the Amazon A Store, which is what we use for the source of information for the products and categories that we want. So if you go to your Amazon affiliates account under A Store, you'll notice that what Amazon has done is they've given you a nice user interface to quickly select categories, subcategories, and create a store that would reside on their server called an A Store. Now we use this A Store as a source of information to populate our websites with. So to give you an idea how A stores are created, I'm going to go ahead and edit one of my existing A stores so you can kind of get an idea how this interface works. It's very easy to use, very fast, and allows you to generate a store very quickly. The problem with A stores is that they reside on Amazon servers rather than within your database on your website. So it's very difficult to generate traffic to an Amazon A store, but it's got all the information we need to populate our stores. So if you go to the first page here, it gives you the ability to add categories to your store. And what you see is for my coffee store, I've created three main categories: gifts, coffee, and tea. And you'll notice that gifts has a couple of different subcategories. Now these are actually subcategories of coffee and tea, but I've moved them using Amazon's interface into their own category because that's the way I want the store to look. Now, once you've selected your categories and subcategories, by the way, you can have subcategories up to 3 levels deep under the main category. So if you like to really delineate your products into separate subcategories, you have the ability to do that with the A Store. So once those are selected, you click Continue, and Amazon has given you the ability to change the look and feel of the store. It's not real important. May create a separate video just on doing A stores, but you just follow the wizard, and at the end you'll get to Finish and Get Link. Now what we want from this is we want to get this URL that's at the end of creating your A store, and this will allow us to use that. So I'm going to copy that and use that in our program to actually source the category and product information that we want. So what you do is you take that URL and you paste it in this blank, which is called A Store Source. Normally when you start up, these two grids will be empty here, and then what you would do is just click Build Categories from A Store, and what it'll do is you'll notice that the progression bars started moving and this URL is changing. What it's actually doing is reading in those web pages and scraping the information out of them and putting them into your database. There's a couple of options here. One, you can click on this checkbox to remember this A Store URL in case you have to come back to it a couple of times. You also have a starting category ID number, which I set by default at 10,000. So the categories that we insert into your database could be maybe above some that you already have in there, so they wouldn't conflict. So what it's done here is it's gone out to all those pages on the Amazon site and gathered that information about categories and subcategories. So you can see subcategory 1s are underneath the main category here. So the parent ID for this subcategory is 10,000, so it relates back to the gifts main category. Now once we've acquired that information, what we're going to want to do next is to get the ASINs associated with those categories. Now you have a couple of options here. One is that you can select how many products you'd like to have in each subcategory that you're going to populate, and I usually use 90 to 150, something in that range. Now we have 20 categories that we're going to populate, and we have 90 per category as it sits right now, so that'll give us about 1,800 products. So that sounds about right to me. So I'm going to click on this Build ASINs from A-Store, and again you'll see this URL start to change. And what it's doing is it's going to the Amazon server and it's reading those web pages and it's scraping these ASIN numbers out here and putting them into our database for our use. While that's working, I want to show you that you also have the ability to export your categories into a CSV file or import them back from a CSV file. Like I said, these categories and ASINs could be used by any type of website that needs that information, not just a Fresh Store Builder site. So you also have export and import for your ASINs. Now there's a direct relationship, obviously. Here's all of the products that are going to go into subcategory 10,100, which is coffee gifts. And I've also put on here an insert number, and this will be 1 through 90 for each one of the categories that we're populating. And that's important because when we actually go to insert the products into your store, my program will take all the ones and insert those first and then all the twos. So if you're building a store, it will populate a product into each one of your categories and then a second one into each one of your categories and so on. So immediately your store has that look that it's already populated, even though it's still working on adding more products to each category. So the process of scraping the ASINs from the Amazon servers is probably the longest part of our process, so I'm going to pause the video for a few minutes. It'll probably take about 5 or 10 minutes to get those 1,800 products. So I'm going to pause the video and come back once we're a little closer. Okay, I've started the video back up. It just finished a few seconds ago. Gives me a message here that ASIN acquisition is complete. I can just click OK to that and you'll see that it's gone down through here and populated 90 products into each category, gotten the ASIN information for all those categories. Now once we've done that, we can export these files like I mentioned before, or we can move on and we can insert the information into a Fresh Store Builder database and web pages. If we want to do that, the next tab is Database Connection, and I've already made a connection here. I have a separate video on how to make connections to your Fresh Store Builder databases, so check that out. And we move on to the Populate Database section. Now the first thing we want to do here is we want to create the rows in a format that the Fresh Store Builder database understands. So to do that, we just click Build Database Category Rows, and it'll read the other table that we just created, and it populates the columns needed for a Fresh Store Builder site, which is a little bit more than the basic information. And you'll notice here that I have 3 template fields. Now what happens in Fresh Store Builder is that it will take the title of the website, or title of the product, and put the website name with that and create a metadata description, and it'll do a similar thing with the title and then comma and then the site for meta keywords, and then it'll just put the title in under meta title. So you can see those columns over here are populated. Now if you want to make some custom meta information, I've given you a template here that you can actually change and make it read whatever you want. you'll notice that the description column and the description bottom column are empty. These are fields that I populate with my other program, Retail Store Content Builder. So once we have that information ready to go for Fresh Store Builder, we're going to use the next button, which is just populate database with category rows. So this is actually going to insert that information right into our database, and it's giving me a warning that the categories already exist. That's okay, I'm going to go ahead and do it anyways and delete those categories. So we've inserted 23 rows into the database, and the next thing that you can do if you want to, I pretty much put this button in here, delete all products, for my own purposes because I've run testing on the program so many times. I wanted an easy way to delete all the products that I'd added into a database. So that may or may be something that you use or not. If you want to refresh a store though, say you created one and 6 months later you wanted to just delete all the products and recreate the products from the list of ASINs, you could do that, or maybe make a new list of ASINs. So once we're ready, we can populate the ASINs into the product queue. Now the product queue is a feature that Fresh Store Builder is set up, and what this does is if products are placed in the product queue, then Fresh Store Builder program will, on a trickle feed, populate those products into your database, and you have some settings as to how fast that happens. In any event, you just click this button. It'll ask if you want to go ahead. You say yes, and then it puts entries into the queue to be processed. So it put the 1710 entries into the queue to be processed. Well, once we've done that, we've actually created our categories and put our products in to be populated. And I have an additional tab here which is giving me the ability, or giving you the ability with the program, to actually run that Fresh Store Builder product queue program on some frequency that you would choose. Now there's a couple of fields in the parameters of Fresh Store Builder that you can actually change using this program. One is the quantity of queue products to process on each iteration of the running of their program. And so I've set mine as a default at 6. So every time the program runs, it'll put 6 products from the queue into my database and onto my web pages. And then how many minutes between product additions, and I have mine set at 2. So every 2 minutes it'll put 6 products in. So we're going to get about 120 products for every hour. So normally with 2,000 products, it's going to take you say a couple of days to populate those into the database. But if you go much faster than that, then you get a lot of throttling errors from Amazon. So it's better just to let it take that long. And some of you I know want to make it extend over several weeks. So you have the ability to make your selection there. So once you're ready, you just say start populating, and what the program does is it goes into countdown mode, and it'll start out at whatever time frame you've set over here. And it'll start a countdown, and once it hits 0, it'll go ahead and run the Fresh Store Builder populate from the queue program, and it will call Amazon up and tell them that you want the number of products, in this case 6, every 2 minutes. And you can start and stop this at will. It's easy to do. But what I've done down here below is to give you a summary. Now you can see I built this store a while ago, so it's actually done some populating already. And then it has the 1,700 new ones that we put into the queue a few minutes ago. In addition, it'll give you a listing of the last 250 detail items in the product queue that have actually been populated into the store. So these are actual ASIN numbers that have been placed into the store, and it shows you going back in time the last 250 that the program did. So you just let that run. Now I want to show you the end results of my store. Actually, this store I populated and built a while ago, so it's actually up and running on the net already. But I want to show you what it looks like in the administrative mode for those categories that we've added. Okay, so I'm going to go say view categories. And you can see here that it lists the categories and subcategories that we were able to acquire from the Amazon A store, and it puts them in there just as it would if you were doing it manually. It's just that it's a lot easier and faster to do. And you notice when I actually built this store, I had put 120 products per category, so that's why you're seeing that here. We were actually running against a test database when we ran the program before. So let me log out of here, go back to the store. Okay, and so you'll see I'm actually using a template here. So this is what my template looks like, but if you click on the GIFs, you'll see my two subcategories here, and then a list of the products in that subcategory. And you can see obviously I'm using Retail Store Content Builder to populate in my category description, my brand descriptions, and then if we go on to a product, you'll see of course that I'm using Retail Store Content Builder to do my main product descriptions, my features, and my second description. So between the two programs you can do quite a bit very quickly to get your store ready to go. You'll notice I also have a blog here, and what I'm doing with this blog is I'm populating articles using Article Builder, which is a really nice program. It'll go through on whatever frequency you tell it, and it'll populate articles into your store blog. So that's very easy way to get content built into the store. So there you have it. That's retail store categories and ASINs. Hope you like the product, and I hope to have you as a customer. If you get the product, if you find anything that we need to correct, just send me an email about that. Or if you think about new features that you'd like to see in the program, let me know about those too, and we'll see if we can add it in for you. Thanks for watching. Take care.